So it sounds like what you're saying is that some vessels are meant for honor and some vessels are meant for dishonor. And that perhaps, and this is very helpful, I think, the distinction that you made between different genres and different forms potentially having a different level of impact on us from on a heart level. That there's some music that's almost meant to be discarded. Would that be fair to say? That it's a low enough of a form that it's almost disposable, and that perhaps while we need to be aware and we need to take responsibility for what we're listening to of those lower forms, if I understood you right, that it's the music that has the higher level of content, doctrinal content, either Christian content or what the world would have us to believe, that we really need to be watchful about.
Yeah, it's not just that, but let's just say if we have something of a very beautiful, attractive, impactful piece of music, the Passion of St. John, or something of that nature, powerful, and yet the text that it's communicating. And this is something where you have taken a powerful, attractive piece of music and coupled it with this text that it's carrying. And that has a very powerful impact upon us, and for good. However, if you were to take the same piece of music and marry it to some corrupt text or doctrine, for instance, you've got something that's very dangerous there. However, if the medium of this of the heresy, if you want to call it that, is carried through very low music that doesn't really resonate with us as being very attractive or beautiful, and we can discard the music itself, it's not as dangerous. Now, I'm not saying don't go there. I'm just saying it's not as dangerous. So we have to be particularly aware of the type of medium when it's very high, very profound and impactful, or we just tend to be attracted to a particular genre of music and we sing it over and over. Well, what text is it carrying? What is it indoctrinating? We have to be very deliberate with. I do believe there are some forms and mediums of music that are not worthy, simply because of the context of the culture in which they associate with. And I think enough could be said there. Just investigate not only the text that the music is teaching or espousing, because we are teaching each other, we are saying messages, we're giving particular communication when we're singing, but not just because of the text may be benign in some sense of the word, but the music itself is so associated with the broader context of the culture that is pervasive or primary about that particular genre of music. I see that that's not a profitable thing for Christians. We have to be discerning not only in the text, but also in the medium that carries the text, and the two being married together in that significant way.
So in discerning the spirit of the age that we're in currently, we're in 2017, we're recording this, and in terms of being discerning about what is opposing us, what is opposing good doctrine, as you define it. What is the spirit of the age that we see in the music of our culture currently? Being in the midst of it, it's sometimes a little hard to see. I remember when I was much younger, I was part of an orchestra in Canada, and we would do a little touring, and we had a Christmas concert one year, and we were going to travel up by bus to Quebec City and do a Christmas performance up there. And they said, this is a big thing. We do this every year. We get together with a choir. And so I was waiting for my music, and I was fully expecting, being a homeschooled, Reformed kid from the woods, I was expecting to get a score for Handel's Messiah. Well, what I actually got was a score for a piece that they performed every year. Every year, this concert was sold out. It was a performance of Karl Orff's Carmina Burana, which is basically a cantata. It's in a cantata form, like you might expect church music from Johann Sebastian Bach. It had that same form with arias and recitatives, and it's based off of a Latin text that was found of some corrupt nuns and monks from the 13 or 1400s, I believe, and just the terrible depredations that they got into. And this was the pinnacle of the Christmas season. This is what they enjoyed. Every year they would do a performance of this Carmina Burana. And that said something to me about the culture that would exalt this form of music or this particular piece with its religious structure, but its wicked content, to this level that they would enjoy this every year at Christmas time. So when you look at the music that's held up in esteem, that's at the forefront, that expresses the spirit of our age, what is it that you see as the enemy, if we can define it in those terms? Give us a snapshot of the sharp edge of what's coming at us.
Well, we live in a time, in this enlightened time, where there's a lot of sentimentality, a lot of subjectivism. We are not objective in our thinking, or there is not an objective standard, whether it be the law of God or Him Himself. You know, you think about beauty. You know, beauty is an attribute of God, and so it is not subjective. It's something objective, and we have lost the sense of that objectivity of even beauty that's founded in Him. Well, in the day that we live, we are consumers and very self-focused in what we like, and we are chasing a particular pursuit that will never have any complete satisfaction in it, and so it's always a chase of trying to feed our own desires. So the aesthetic itself, in the description of what you're saying, the aesthetic of the outward form of the music can be something very beautiful, and we're attracted to that. And there is some elements that, because we're made in the image of God, that this has attractiveness to it because of the form. But then when we divorce it from the very thing that made it beautiful, and we are so enamored with the form and the outward, and we discard what made that beautiful, we are now at this crossroads that we are living in. It's like if I were to come home from work and have a dozen roses behind my back, and my wife opens the door and I surprise her with a dozen roses, and she just gets so enamored with, oh, these are beautiful, slams the door in my face and goes and finds a vase and puts it on the setting and admires the roses, and I'm standing there with the door shut in my face. She's all enamored about the beauty of the roses, and she has failed to see the beauty of the love that brought them. The roses are going to die and fade, and yet there's always going to be something behind the roses that was much more transcendent and beautiful that she should have been seeing. And just an example of how we treat a lot of our music today. So we see very beautiful music, even in sacred settings, even with good text, where the churches are dead and have forgotten really the beauty of what made these songs worthy to be written in the first place. And now it just becomes the form. So I'm very afraid of forms just for the sake of forms themselves. I'm not afraid of rituals and even liturgical rituals, but God would desire obedience and love, not sacrifice. And it didn't mean that He didn't appreciate sacrifice. He ordained them. But they always have its proper and good form within the context of this familial relationship of love and obedience, and then the forms find their matter. So I think there's a lot of deceptions that the God of this age can give us, and I think one of the most powerful mediums that He can trick and deceive and lead us away from the God that we love is through music. It's a very powerful thing.